Hey everyone, so this is Christina, and I wanted to share my book on audio version. I know I'm a hot mess this evening. Um, Unfortunately, I probably won't be coming all beautiful and prettified every evening. I have a daughter, a little one of my own, I'm taking care of, and I stay a busy mommy. I'm also a nanny to 6 children, so I just stay quite busy, and I'm not really much about appearance these days. Not really much at all. But I really hope that this book can inspire someone. It says my book is on Amazon, and you can look it up on Barnes and Nobles and things like that. It's called From Darkness to Light: When My Dark World Met the Light of the World. And so let's go ahead and get started. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous and wonderful light. I wanted to give thanks to God for the opportunity to share with you all that he has done for me and for the life that he has given me. And I'm very thankful to everyone he's placed in my life. And I also want to thank everyone who encouraged me to even write a book many years ago. And the fact that you're even listening to this means a lot to me, and if anyone shares this video with you, to them as well. But I pray that my story can help encourage others. The introduction. Spit on, stoned, raped, tortured, killed, imprisoned, beheaded, dragged out of their own weddings by police, disowned by family. Parents who put hits on their children, 5-year-old girls beaten, and limbs chopped off by radical fanatics, most their own government and police. Kids burned and tortured in front of their parents, all because they are Christians. And more of the unimaginable, only because they would not denounce the name of Jesus. If this seems like an old wives' tale, look across many villages in places like Asia, India, Africa, and many other areas. This is an everyday picture amongst those who choose to be a Christian. I sit here with the article from Voice of the Martyrs and Open Doors Ministries that have pictures and stories from many who are currently in these positions even till this day. Did you know that in many parts of China that it is against the law for children to even go to church? Neither did I. But I'm looking at pictures of a family right now that have to read the Bible to their children secretly just because of this ban. This book then, it is my story into learning truths beyond what I could ever have imagined about what it really means to believe in the same God that these people are suffering and dying for every day. Out of thousands of religions, Christianity is the only one that has a founder or God that didn't just command to be served, but he loved so deep that he gave up his life and chose to serve them instead. Years later, people are now risking their lives every day for that great love. For many of us, though, especially in American culture, this is not something we even notice or think about or take too seriously. So your own story may sound a little bit like mine, or at least some of your own responses, but we will discuss that later. First, let me take you on what my own journey was like. Now we get into chapter 1, Eyes Wide Shut, when I was spiritually blind. Me. Yeah, I believe in God. Stranger. Says, what about Jesus? Yeah, sure. Hey, I gotta run is what I said. It was time to get ready to head out with friends. Maybe party, drink, and smoke a little for the night. I was already in college at this point. I was only 17 years old, and I wasn't in college because I was super smart, but because I had a rough story by this age and had to get my GED early due to mix-ups and moving from state to state and my refusal to go to school, which left me without a solid transcript to show school officials. As I sat with friends in San Antonio, I began reminiscing about life and friends back in Los Angeles, where I was originally from, and also what my own journey was like even at a younger age. What was this life for? Well, I guess to make a name for yourself. But for now, I just wanted to survive. I made it here to this earth in 1984. We were staying in hotels at the time I was born. Born into a family where my mother was on the run for kidnapping her oldest daughter, which is my half-sister, which is to me, my full sister, after losing a custody battle to a man who hit her with a truck while pregnant, having hiding places wherever we went, living in secret at times, and never being stable was tough. My mother was young. She was only 24, and I was her third child. My father, he was different than my sisters. This particular hotel in Southgate, California, had become more long-term for us, and in my diaper stages, I was already running around next door, bugging the Hill Gang. That's AKA Cypress Hill, as they smoked weed outside while my mother got into fistfights down the street. Even at a young age, I was sitting in the liquor store, meeting people like Warren G, who is a famous rapper who would buy me my candy. As a toddler, I was already growing up in an atmosphere where one like me would no doubt become another statistic and victim to the streets. God was not even an option, or if he was, my world was never, or would never, present him to me. Boom, the police were here again. Our hiding spots were chosen from the first arrangements of our new living headquarters. Like any other kid, I was placed into school and tried my best to be a good student. Many times I worked real hard to achieve that great grade so that I could get that award, be part of that pizza party, or make it on a special field trip. But rarely did my efforts pay off. I can recall being afraid, staying quiet so that the police would not find me as I hid. They never did, but that was not a relief. I longed as a child to feel normal. In a way, I envied the kid who got to have a normal life, who enjoyed the payoffs of their efforts in school. How I wish I was that kid so many days. Don't get me wrong, I was that kid at times, but it wasn't the same because in my case, I felt like I worked more than I could receive a girl for. It's the same reason I never had an opportunity to graduate high school, which is what I had longed to do. This day, as a child, I recalled that once police had left our hiding location, my mother called us all into the living room. "Grab your things right now and get them in the car," she said. "Say thank you to our host and get in the car." I remember telling my mom, "Where are we going?" And my mom, she just said, "We have to leave here. We have to leave the state. The police are after us, and then you won't have parents if they find us." I remember crying, but my mom, I would tell her that I had an award ceremony and that I made the best grade for the trophy or something like that. And I would tell her how hard I tried, and my mom would just say, "Sorry, we have to go. You can get another trophy later." And I would ask, "Can I call my best friend, say goodbye?" And my mom would just say, "You can't say anything. Let's go now. No goodbyes, just get in the car. I will call your school and withdraw you once we cross state lines, and then I'll just find you another school." This was my life growing up. For the most part, I was pulled out of school every year. But what was the point of school when this world was going to hell in a handbasket anyways? At least my world was. Los Angeles, 1992, the Rodney King riots. Lock all your doors and stay inside your homes. Hawaiian Gardens, Bell Gardens, is on lockdown until further notice. This was what the statement looked like as I watched it come across our TV screen as my school and other establishments were also being set on fire nearby. We lived right in between Long Beach and Compton, California, and at only 8 years old, we were journeying smack down in the middle of a historic moment, the Rodney King riots of Los Angeles in 1992. We were only down the street from where the riots broke out at the time. Once the verdict came in that the police officers, which were white men, who beat Rodney King, a black man, were acquitted, my mother grabbed us in a hurry and we ran out of the office where my sister was having an appointment at. As we drove down the street and got to the traffic light, there were already many black people who were furious, running down the street and up to all the people they were pulling people out that were a lighter skin color in order to beat them in retaliation of the verdict. My mother, even though she's Hispanic, she also has a lighter skin color, so we quickly, as the men approached the vehicle, flew over the median in order to pass lights and hit the freeway. From then on, things got crazy in our city. I remember sitting and watching From my window, buildings being set on fire and newscasters covering our neighborhood stories as people rob stores. But nobody, not even the police, had enough force to stop what had now become a rampage. I wanted to go out and play, but couldn't. And we stayed inside the house for several days. Authorities would not allow anyone to leave their homes, not even for food. Our grocery stores were being destroyed, our post offices, everything really. Our family thought about rioting too, believe me, but we couldn't take the risk of encountering trouble with the police. Eventually, after our towns had been trashed and the National Guard and SWAT teams came in, recovery in our cities began, and our family continued on. It wasn't long before yet another earthquake took place. That was the last straw for my mother. She would at that point pick up and leave my father in Los Angeles and move back to her hometown of San Antonio, Texas. And this is what I call the beginning of a war's hell, if there is such a thing. We will get to chapter 2 next time. Thank you for joining me on my journey through my story and through all that God has done. God bless you all.